I actually miss a Blizzard there, and Psyshock does a lot in Ninetales. Of course, if they redirect it into Indeedee, then it doesn't do so much anymore. Miss Blizzard? They miss Blizzard again? Hold on, hold on. It actually, I was going to say it's not over. It actually is over because they still have the Shadow Rider. What I have here is a wheel of names with every legendary Pokemon available in Scarlet and Violet on it. A total of 62 Pokemon, as you can see near the top right. And the reason for this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, actually. I've just been waiting all this time for a double restricted format, because that seems like the most appropriate format for it. But this is the kind of thing that I even used to do when I wasn't recording, and I just had time to kill when I was younger. And it's the kind of thing that motivated me to start a YouTube channel, because honestly, why not record a gimmick like this and share it with more than just myself? But this idea goes back to Generation 7 Ubers, actually, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, back when I had never yet touched VGC and I only played singles formats, and I was not good at them, but that was what I did. There was one summer where, to pass some time, I built a team around every legendary Pokemon. I just went through the Pokedex, built an Articuno team, built a Zapdos team, built a Moltres team. I did just go in Pokedex order that time, which I'm not doing this time. And I just tried them out on the ladder and saw what worked best. And, you know, speed building a bunch of teams like that, with sometimes some very unusual Pokemon, sometimes not so unusual, you get some really interesting gimmicks that come out of it. So I still think sometimes about my Entei team, where I had like a bulky hazard stacking team with a choice banded Entei, and even though I was running Entei and Gen 7 Ubers, it actually worked pretty well. Or my Zekrom team, where I forgot to have a ground resist in a format where Primal Groudon was king. And so that actually was good, because it just forced me to play that team hyper-aggressively, and that made for a lot of really fun games. Or there was the Cosmog team, or the Cosmo M team, where I was really just trying to make the best 5 Pokemon team that I could come up with, which was sort of an interesting perspective on the format in its own right. So I want to do something like that again in VGC Regulation I, and hopefully we'll have some more fun and quirky teams come up like that. But that is the premise here. I'm not going in Pokedex order this time because it shakes things up a little more, and because we don't have Reg I for super long from the looks of it, so I'm not actually certain that I'll get to every single legendary. This is just going to be a weekly video for now. I might make it more than once a week as the competitive season winds down. We'll see. But yeah, definitely more fair to the likes of Terapagos and Ogerpon that I randomize the selection. So the format here is going to be randomly draw a legendary Pokemon, go over to the team builder, sort of come up with some initial ideas for what kind of team I can build, and then I'll probably skip the tedious part and just go straight to the finished team and give it a go on the ladder, and we'll see how some of these legendaries compare to each other over time. Let's pick our first legendary. Wheel says Latios. Okay, not gonna lie, when I was imagining what kind of pick I might get first, it was never that one. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with Latios in this format, but we'll see what I can come up with. Okay, so obviously the first thing that I need here is Latios itself. Might as well make it shiny. Might as well make the featured legendary shiny every time, unless it's shiny locked. So Latios, it has a pretty usable special attack stat, especially since you can throw off strong Draco Meteors with it. That's probably a decent starting point with choice specs, or a Scarf, or a Soul Dew. The Soul Dew might be more appealing than a choice item, because although Latios is not generally as support-oriented a Pokemon as Latias, it does get Tailwind. So we can do Draco Meteor, Tailwind. We're going to be playing best of 1 here, so we could do Ally Switch. But I think that's more of a throw-in move if I don't find something better. Bulldoze into like Solgaleo could be kind of funny, but not necessarily good. It gets Heal Pulse, it gets Icy Wind. Light Screen, does it get Reflect? Yes. I could do Screens Latios if I want. There is Memento. I could try to use Memento to enable a setup mode. It's a little bit gimmicky. But yeah, I like Tailwind. I like Draco Meteor. What? Oh, it gets Dragon Cheer as well. I could use Dragon Cheer with what, a dragon type restricted? Maybe like Palkia throwing off Spatial Rend? It's a little bit gimmicky too, but it's not the worst idea. It also gets Breaking Swipe. That's kind of interesting. And of course it can set up Weather. Latios also, I mean, base 90 attack. Honestly, that's lower than I thought. Maybe I'm thinking of Mega Latios. Probably don't want to go physical with it. So what can I do with Latios? So I probably want to enable an offensive restricted Pokemon. Maybe something like Shadow Rider Calyrex, right? Because that can benefit greatly from Tailwind. It doesn't really directly answer Fairy types, but it's not vulnerable to them like a Miraidon or a Palkia is alongside Latios. And with Shadow Rider, I can fill out balance pieces around it like Rillaboom and Urshifu that don't necessarily enjoy dealing with, say, opposing Dragon Terras. And then maybe Latios can, you know, if I pressure out a Dragon Terra on something like a Zamazenta, then maybe Latios can snipe it for me. I also can run Latios with my own Zamazenta, so I could see this turning into a Shadow Rider Zamazenta team. I don't know why I started typing Shadow instead of Calyrex, but it works. Shadow Rider Zamazenta, and then I could do your basic like Rillaboom, Urshifu, Incineroar, or swap one of those out for Chien-Pao. I really do like Chien-Pao on this kind of team right now. If I want to do Dragon Cheer Latios, right, then again, Palkia is probably the best restricted partner for that. But then I really need to be thinking about how to answer Fairy types. I could try Palkia Zamazenta. Like a Shadow Rider Zamazenta team with just a different horse. Let's say Latios has Tailwind, Draco Meteor, Dragon Cheer. It probably wants Protect then. But do I have room for that, or do I want a second attack on Latios? I could run Dialga instead of Palkia and have that steel coverage immediately on that Pokemon. I don't know if I necessarily need that when I have 4 other teammates, but let's pencil in Dialga as a restricted partner option. But I think if I run anything, if I run any of these horses, I definitely want some kind of physical restricted, right? Zamazenta still looks pretty strong here. Yeah, I mean, Zamazenta, Rillaboom, maybe Chien-Pao-ish stuff. And I can just use Latios as Tailwind support for a Shadow Rider. There's no reason I can't do that. Or I could go a little bit sillier with Palkia or Dialga. The reason I like Palkia so much is that, of course, Spatial Rend already has the boosted crit rate. And Palkia is a Dragon type, so you're really getting the most out of Dragon Cheer with that. But even Dialga just being able to crit sometimes could be nice. Dialga does pressure anything that tries to Terra Fairy around the Draco Meteor from Latios. I also could run, I could drop the Dragon Cheer idea and I could just run like Psyshock on Latios and help to cover especially bulky Pokemon with that. I think I'm talking myself into... What's the speed on Origin Dialga? 90, but I mean I get Tailwind. I think I'm talking myself into Dialga. It's also... Well, I guess neither of these two immediately folds against Ice Rider, right? They both take neutral damage from Glacial Lance. Dialga is weak to high horsepower. I don't know why I'm so tunnel visioned into the Dragon Cheer thing. It's pretty gimmicky, but I guess it's something that stands out about Latios compared to some other Tailwind support Pokemon like Tornadus, Whimsicott. Not Iron Jugulus, that gets Dragon Cheer too, but what can you do? I think Crit Palkia or Crit Dialga could be a lot of fun. Alright, if it's Origin Dialga, hypothetically, then do I necessarily want Zamazenta as the other restricted? I think it's still not bad, because fighting coverage can still be valuable into the likes of Incineroar. Maybe steel types. There aren't that many steel types out there. Alternatively, I could run Zacian. Well, I think Zamazenta is fine. I think this is just more interesting. I mean, Shadow Rider might be best here, but I think this is just more interesting if I go with Dialga or Palkia instead. Let's assume that whatever it is, I'm probably bringing Rillaboom, and I'm probably bringing Qianpao. I could do Dialga. I could put the other thing about Dialga. Palkia gets Trick Room too, right? I could run Trick Room. Dialga's slower than Palkia, and then I have a Tail Room option if I really want for some reason. Let's do Origin Dialga. I can still Dragon Cheer. No, this feels silly. Let's do Palkia. Palkia, Zamazenta, Rillaboom, Qianpao. Urshifu's still not... Well, yeah, Urshifu's still not bad. I don't really need Rapid Strike form when I have water coverage already. I could consider Single Strike Urshifu, or I could just slap on an Incineroar. Incineroar gives me that second Fake Out. I think Incineroar is probably fine here. Well, on the other hand, Single Strike Urshifu... If I'm facing something like a Kyogre, I have multiple answers for Kyogre already. What I was thinking is I could Sucker Punch Kyogre. I have other answers for it. How am I into opposing Shadow Rider? I have Wide Guard. I have Qianpao. The Focus Sash is probably taken already by Qianpao. Alright, I think I'm going to go with Incineroar. So I'm going to try to build the rest of this out, and then we will, see how it does. Alright, well, for better or worse, here it is. I decided with the Covert Cloak on Latios, I could probably get by without Protect, so I am running Psyshock along with Tailwind and Dragon Cheer. Maybe I'll decide after playing a game or two that I want to screen, I don't know. Palkia, I put Steel Terra Blast on there, so that's, I guess, an answer to Fairies, situationally. But hopefully it just clicks Spatial Rend through stuff. That's ideal. And then the rest of the team is more actually solid, but potentially less fun. So we'll try to find a good balance here, right? I have not logged in yet. Whoops. That's better. Let's try that again. Zekrom. Okay. Zekrom Shadow Rider team. Regieleki. I don't know why I'm saying Regieleki, like that's unremarkable. It's pretty interesting too. This team wants to go fast. I realized that I said earlier that I would put Trick Room on Palkia, and then I just straight up forgot. But I don't know that I really had room for it anyway. But yeah, this team wants to go turbo fast, and that could be a real problem for me. I think what I'm going to do is lead Latios Palkia, just start blasting, and if I see like Zekrom lead, or maybe even Qianpao lead, then I have Zamazenta available to switch in. But it's not the most sound thing, but it might have to do. And I mean, Incineroar is pretty strong here, but I think I need Qianpao. I don't know where I do have room to bring Incineroar to a game with this team, but we'll see. Okay, I'm just going to Tailwind. If they one-shot Latios, then I'll regret it, but hopefully they won't. They also could have Terra Fairy on the Calyrex. I'm going to protect Palkia this turn. They just go for Light Screen. A crit doesn't care about that, but they do one-shot the Latios. Okay. I'm just going to Wide Guard here and Spatial Rend into Calyrex. Terra Fighting, so that's not Terra Fairy, that much is good, but they can Terra Blast Zamazenta, and they do. This would be a good time for a Spatial Rend crit. I do get it, okay. But I have just Chien-Pao and Palkia left. Here's the Zekrom. I think I'm going to Terra Steel Palkia, anticipating, I don't know, a Dragon Claw? Maybe. Just go for Spatial Rend into Zekrom. It just protects. Great. But, okay, Regieleki has both of its screens up, and I've damaged it. I'm going to click Sucker Punch, anticipating it to attack this turn. I don't know if it even has an attack. But if it does, this will keep it in check. And, yeah, Spatial Rend into Zekrom. Of course, they can just click Terrain Boosted Bolt Strike or something into Palkia. We do get the KO on Regieleki here. And we outspeed Zekrom and knock it out with a Spatial Rend. No crit needed. So Latios really didn't accomplish anything in this game, but a win is a win, I guess. Hopefully we can get Palkia better set up. What in the Wolf Glick is this? Well, you know what I think would be helpful into this team? Some critical hits. Let's bring these. It means no Chien-Pao, but I mean, Rillaboom is so good into a lot of this team, I think. Okay, Indeedee Politoed. I don't necessarily know what they're cooking with that. They obviously can go for a Perish Trap. I'm just going to Dragon Cheer and Spatial Rend into Politoed. They can redirect it, but if they don't, maybe I can just pick Politoed up here. We do get a Spatial Rend crit, but it doesn't KO. Latios is Encore locked into Dragon Cheer, so that's not great. I think I'll just switch it out to Rillaboom here. But I still want to get rid of this Politoed if I can. Follow Me, Perish Song, of course. We get a crit into Indeedee. That gives him an opening, of course, to bring Gothitelle in. It's Kyogre instead, okay. Alright, I'll just Grassy Glide that. It's probably Slow Kyogre if they're running it in Trick Room, right? So just Grassy Glide that. I still want to remove this Politoed if I can. Terra Grass. Well, at least a Water Spout won't do a whole lot back. They lock Rillaboom in. Okay, sure. Combine Kyogre. They lock Rillaboom into Grassy Glide. I don't think I'm too upset about that. We'll see what their last Pokemon is here. If it might not be Gothitelle, maybe it's Terapagos. It is Terapagos. I can use Priority Grassy Glide to break the Terra Shell. And just fish for a crit into Kyogre. Okay, yeah, Origin Pulse doesn't do too much into 2 resistances. That was actually a crit on Palkia. They Hyper Beam Palkia. Alright, so I don't get my my crit there. Rillaboom is obviously at the end of its Perish counter. I'll go Zamazenta here and just try to Wide Guard out of this Trick Room. Terapagos has to recharge anyway. And I'll just switch Rillaboom out to Latios so as to not drop the Perish Song. Yep, Origin Pulse is stopped by the Wide Guard. Terapagos doesn't get to attack. And here, I think I'll just Psyshock. They've used their Terra, so they can't Terra the Terapagos. I think I'll just Psyshock and Body Press into Kyogre. I guess they could have boomed me with Protect, but they didn't. Terapagos Hyper Beam Zamazenta does 40% with a crit. They're not too bothered about that, and obviously it would be another Psyshock and Body Press here, but they forfeit. So hey, Latios put in some good work in that game, enabling Palkia to get some early KOs and then helping to clean up at the end. Here we've got a Cresselia and a Skeledirge on this Zamazenta Lunala team here. Zamazenta Lunala looks not the easiest to deal with. This whole team looks not the easiest to deal with what I've brought, but surely I can find a way. I'm going to lead Latios Palkia again, because why not? Bring Zamazenta, and I really don't dislike Qian Pao here. It's a little bit awkward that I don't have Throat Chop or Crunch. I only have Dark Pulse. I only have Sucker Punch for Dark type damage, but I still like it for boosting Zamazenta, and a Sucker Punch could still be valuable here with the right timing. They're going to lead Lunala and Skeledirge. It looks like they want to get Trick Room up. I don't know that I could stop them. I mean, I can double into Lunala, right? Break a Shadow Shield. I can Draco Meteor or just Psyshock. And Palkia is intentionally slower than Latios. I didn't mention that earlier, but you might have noticed. That way Latios can get off Dragon Cheer before Palkia attacks. Even though Palkia has the higher base speed. They've already locked in. Yeah, I don't like this Lunala sitting here. Let's see what I can do about it. Nicely break that Shadow Shield with the Draco Meteor, but Spatial Rend doesn't crit. Palkia takes a Moonblast back, no KO, but Skeledirge with Snarl will drop the special attack on Palkia, not on Latios, of course. However, I can, in this position, Dragon Cheer and Spatial Rend. Lunala protects. Not what you like to see. But of course, we'll ignore Snarl drops if we crit. Palkia, however, will only take one more Snarl before it goes down. I guess I'll pivot Latios out to Zamazenta here. They don't have a Fairy type, so I can Spatial Rend the Lunala slot still. Oh, Terra Fairy. Why'd they only click it now? I guess because they didn't need to click it any sooner. Fair enough. Alright, Palkia falls short of what I wanted from it this video. I guess I could have just clicked Hydro Pump. That was, of course, inviting a miss, potentially, but you know, what I actually got here is not great. But I can go Qian Pao here. I can just click Icicle Crash into Lunala, and, well, then what does Zamazenta do? Alright, I can click Heavy Slam into Lunala and Sucker Punch into Skeledirge. Lunala protects. Skeledirge takes a lot from that Sucker Punch, but is not knocked out. Just goes for a Torch Song into Zamazenta. Probably shouldn't have let it do that. But I do get the same opportunity here this turn. Skeledirge not attacking this time. Did it go for Black Off? Yeah. Not playing properly around that Pokemon. Let's just attack. There's Zamazenta goes before mine. Not surprising if they have speed investment. Try to get damage into Skeledirge and KO Zamazenta if they let me. They do let me. Good damage into Skeledirge. Snarl will break Qian Pao's Focus Sash. Their last Pokemon is Raging Bolt, so losing the Sash isn't great here. But I'm going to go for a Draco Meteor into Raging Bolt and protect Qian Pao, and if I just knock out the Raging Bolt here, then I should be able to beat Skeledirge. Okay, I don't just knock it out. Why am I running Covert Cloak on this Latios instead of Soul Dew? Because I'm afraid of Fake Out. Because I don't protect. Okay, fair enough. I'm going to Draco Meteor Raging Bolt again and Sucker Punch Skeledirge. Okay, Skeledirge doesn't attack, but I get the KO on Raging Bolt, so now Skeledirge is alone in this endgame. Granted, Latios is at -4 special attack, but I think we just keep clicking this Draco Meteor and Sucker Punching. That Sucker Punch does so much damage that Draco Meteor will actually get the KO. Look at Latios closing this game out even after Palkia fell short. So Latios not making a great case for itself in Reg I right now. There's probably not room for it in the actual competitive meta, but it is putting in some work in some of these games. We've got a Ninetales and White Kyurem team here, and of course, it's double restricted, so they do have another one. It's Shadow Rider Calyrex, and with that female Indeedee, it makes me think they want to be clicking a powerful spread move one way or the other, whether it's Blizzard or Expanding Force. So Zamazenta might even want to lead in this game. I do have to be a little bit alert to the possible Fusion Flare or Earth Power from the Kyurem. I do have Terra Fire on the Zamazenta. That's very helpful into Fusion Flare, not so helpful into Earth Power. I could lead Latios Zamazenta this time. Bring Palkia, and I could bring Rillaboom. It resets the terrain. It's a little bit vulnerable into the rest of their team. Let's bring Chien-Pao. Okay, it's Ninetales Kyurem lead. How do we feel about just going straight for a Draco Meteor into this Kyurem? I think I feel pretty good about it. And I can Wide Guard or I can Heavy Slam Ninetales. I'm gonna Wide Guard. Because they could have a Choice Scarf, they could Terra. I don't know if I need to be that aggressive turn 1 in this game. There are definitely ways that it could hurt me. Yeah, Terra Fire. Actually takes that Draco Meteor pretty well with the Aurora Veil too. It does show Fusion Flare, and I didn't Terrasilize Zamazenta. For some reason, who can say why not? Well, it does give me now Terra Steel on Palkia. Yeah, and Palkia will be faster than Kyurem. But probably slower than Ninetales, so Icy Wind could be a problem. But they're not going to click Fusion Flare into Palkia, right? So, Dragon Cheer, Terra Steel, Spatial Rend for the crit chance. They actually switch Ninetales out to Indeedee. But we do knock out Kyurem with a crit, nice. There's a Shadow Rider. It probably just knocks out Latios if I let it. Let's try not to. And let's go for a Spatial Rend into it. They've already used their Terra, of course, so if it's Terra Fairy, doesn't matter. Oh, Palkia lives on 1%. Doesn't get a crit, though. And in Psychic Terrain, I cannot Sucker Punch. This would have been a good time to attack, actually, as they switched the Kyurem out, or they switched the Calyrex out for some reason. Well, I guess Ninetales outspeeds both of my Pokemon. There's not much I can do about that. I'm gonna go for Terra Blast into Ninetales if they let me. No, Blizzard knocks out both, and Latios is not closing this one out. Oh well. Actually miss a Blizzard there, and Psyshock does a lot in Ninetales. Of course, if they redirect it into Indeedee, then it doesn't do so much anymore. Miss Blizzard? They miss Blizzard again? Hold on, hold on. It actually, I was gonna say it's not over. It actually is over because they still have the Shadow Rider. In fact, I probably needed to set Tailwind and dodge while I was dodging all those Blizzards, but yeah, we'll just lose the Shadow Rider here, which is fine, it's deserved. And we'll move on to the next game. Latios falling a little bit short in this one, but what can you do? This person is a Chestnut, that's cool. On the other hand, I might be playing Paul Ruiz, so that's pretty scary. I don't think this is Paul Ruiz down here, fairly low on the best of one ladder, but you know, that's a former world champion who uses Chestnut, so you never know. If Latios can get a Tailwind up, the problem is it underspeeds both of their restricteds. Maybe I did need to find room to shoehorn Trick Room onto Palkia, but I don't know, it's tough. And obviously this is a Tail Room team with the Farigiraf, so I don't think that solves everything exactly. I actually might want to lead Rillaboom Chien-Pao into this game. That's pretty good into both of their restricted options. Incineroar does make that duo kind of sad, but I think that probably means I don't bring Latios to this game. I don't have to bring it every game, right? Surely. Let's just do Zamazenta and Palkia in the back. Okay, they lead Whimsicott Calyrex. I'm gonna Woodhammer the Calyrex slot and Sucker Punch the Calyrex slot. Hopefully one way or another, if it stays in, I get big damage. Dex. Okay. Sure. Fine. I don't think you let it take a Sucker Punch from here. I'm still going to Woodhammer that slot, but I'm going to Icicle Crash the Whimsicott. see what that does. Okay, they bring Incineroar in. Sure. They knock Shanpao down to its Focus Sash. Miss the KO on Whimsicott. And it shows an eject button. Who's coming in? You're right on. Oh, we know all 4 of their Pokemon now. I don't even get Grassy Terrain Recovery thanks to that. I'm so out of position here. I'm gonna go for high horsepower into Miraidon and protect Chien-Pao because I think they want to fake out that slot. I'm wrong, they fake out Rillaboom. I could have Sucker Punched Miraidon. We do at least block a Volt Switch here. Let's try this again. Damage. Who's coming in to take the high horsepower? The horse, appropriately enough. There goes Zamazenta here. But I don't know how I ever beat this Shadow Rider at this point. Did they Terra yet? No, they didn't. Rillaboom out of here for now. I'll get trained back up. I'll protect. Yeah, I'll protect Zamazenta. It does leave Palkia potentially vulnerable to an Astral Barrage, but I don't want Zamazenta to take a surprise Will-O-Wisp or something. Not sure what they're going to go for. They're taking longer to think about this one than they have before. Palkia is in. Helping Hand, Astral Barrage. Yeah. That almost KOs Palkia right away. Hope this does something. So I don't see another way. They go for Psyshock into Palkia, so that we actually don't take any damage from the Calyrex this turn. Unfortunately, Heavy Slam does not knock it out. I think I need Rillaboom, right? So I sack Palkia, even though that feels gross. I'm gonna click normal Terra Blast into Whimsicott, because if I do get the attack off, then it knocks out Whimsicott for sure, and it can't miss like Hydro Pump. Fake Tears, that'll get rid of Zamazenta. Okay. Oh, it doesn't get rid of Zamazenta, but still, I don't see how I ever beat Miraidon now. Especially with Incineroar still here to intimidate Rillaboom. Yeah. Let's just do this. Okay, knocked out Whimsicott. Nice, with faster Fake Out, knocked out Incineroar. It is a 2v1 here. They never Terra'd, right? They still could Terra Fairy Miraidon or something. With that in mind, I think I'm going to click... Can I click Woodhammer? I think I'm going to click Woodhammer instead of High Horsepower. If it doesn't work out, I mean, at least you understand why I did it. And I'm actually going to protect Zamazenta, because I think that's the most likely target here. Okay, it's Terra Electric Miraidon. At least it won't resist the Woodhammer, but it's not going to take the Woodhammer anyway, because it has Discharge. Don't run into the ones that have Discharge too often anymore, but good for my opponent. They got me with what is, at this point, kind of an unusual attack as far as I know. That sounds a little bit better. They did a good job there. That's the value of a surprise in Best of 1, close team sheet. Although I was on the back foot for most of that game anyway. Which is also a credit to my opponent. Hard Trick Room. Hard Trick Room. How do I beat Hard Trick Room? I could lead Chien-Pao Incineroar. I could lead Chien-Pao Zamazenta. Terrifier Zamazenta is pretty good here, except into Ursaluna in Trick Room. Or Ursaluna if it goes Terra Ghost. Chien-Pao Incineroar is probably okay, right? I think I don't like that I have Sucker Punch and not another Dark type attack on Chien-Pao. I think that's something they would consider for future teams. But with Incineroar, I get knockoff. Or even Will-O-Wisp into their Ice Rider. Honestly, I'm not sure I want to lead Chien-Pao here. Maybe I lead Zamazenta with Incineroar. I think that's pretty good. I think I would leave Palkia behind for this one, along with Latios. Okay, it's Smeargle, Calyrex. They can Fake Out, they can follow me, they almost certainly do one of those. I don't love turning off Incineroar's Ice Resistance, but I think it might be worthwhile to Terra Ghost Will-O-Wisp into the Calyrex. And I'll just go for a Body Press into Smeargle. They can flinch Zamazenta if they want. Yeah, I just don't want to give them that initiative of a possible Fake Out into Incineroar. But it might weaken Incineroar for other parts of the game. So, I mean, there are pros and cons to this play. I don't know that it's necessarily the safest here. Do just let me Body Press the Smeargle, knock it down to its Sash. It's probably going for Spore into something, right? But I get the burn on Calyrex, which is huge. They went for Spore into Incineroar. I was already covered for that with the safety goggles, so not necessarily the best use of my Terra, but I did get what I wanted out of that turn, which was the burn on the Ice Rider. I'll click Knockoff into that slot now and try to get rid of this Smeargle. Follow me, that's fine. Goodbye Smeargle. Big damage into Calyrex. Goodbye Covert Cloak. They set Trick Room, though. That's a bit dicey, especially with this Torkoal, especially since I can't Terra Fire my Zamazenta anymore. What I will do is click Parting Shot into Torkoal, and... oh, I have Wide Guard. Oh, I have Wide Guard. I'll click Knockoff into Torkoal and Wide Guard. They can get me with Flamethrower or Overheat. That would be pretty cool for them, but... yeah, I'll cover for the Eruption here. Fire. It is Eruption, so the Wide Guard does stop that. And the Glacial Lance. We weaken that Eruption by removing some HP and also removing the Charcoal. I think I might as well just click another Knockoff, yeah? Wide Guard. If they have a single target fire attack, they could show it here. It's Weather Ball. Okay, that knocks out Zamazenta. But then they close combat into Incineroar. I guess they thought the Weather Ball wouldn't one-shot. 2 turns left to Trick Room. I can go Rillaboom here, and unless they switch Indeedee in, I can Fake Out the Torkoal. I'm willing to try. And I'm actually going to go for a knockoff. I'll just knock off the Torkoal slot. It's fine. Surely it's fine. They can make this harder if they have Indeedee on the back, and they switch it in for Calyrex. That, of course, would mean they left Lunala behind, though. So we'll see. They do let me Fake Out the Torkoal. Glacial Lance does a lot. It crits Rillaboom. Torkoal's pretty weakened now. I'll Grassy Glide into Calyrex, I think, because that's the best damage I can do with Rillaboom. And I guess I'll go for a knockoff into Torkoal and try to win with Chien-Pao in the back after that. Doesn't quite get the KO. Maybe with burn damage. I can't remember whether that goes before terrain or not. I knocked both of my guys out. So not having... oh, it does not go before burn damage. So not having more protects on my team really cost me here. As I just couldn't stall out those Trick Room turns very well. But I mean, I guess I'll just Sucker Punch the Torkoal here. Now, hopefully not lose to a burned Calyrex. Still don't know what their last Pokemon is. Torkoal goes down. They have used their close I forgot about the close combat. And there's Lunala. I don't think I have a way to win this. I do have one way to win this, and it's Triple Protect. No, even that probably doesn't work. Let's Sucker Punch Lunala and go down swinging. Okay, I actually did have a way to win it. It was Triple Protect into... So Calyrex drops to burn damage once the terrain has worn off. And then Sucker Punch crit into Lunala. It's not... It's extremely unlikely, but it is a way to win in that position. But I didn't go for it. I'm going to get one more game and bring Latios no matter what, because I didn't use Latios in those last couple games there. This doesn't look like a great matchup for it, but it's here. It's here. We'll just do what we can. Alright, well... maybe they'll try to fake out Latios. I'm actually going to Terra Steel in hope of taking one Astral Barrage so I can go for Dragon Cheer. Is that worth it when Smeargle can click Follow Me? Can Dragon Cheer be redirected into the opponent? I don't actually know. I suspect not, judging by the way the targeting works. Okay, yeah, we'll try this. They're Dark, Shadow Rider, Astral Barrage. No KO, but Smeargle did not click Fake Out, so it could be going for Spore into Palkia. That's not what I want to see here. I can try to Draco Meteor the Calyrex, but... well, I will try to do that, but they can redirect it with Smeargle if they want. I'm going to switch Palkia out to Champao because I don't want to let Calyrex get a KO. Yeah, there's the Follow Me. Draco Meteor misses anyway. Astral Barrage does half to Champao. And thanks to that miss, Smeargle's Sash is still intact. And so I don't have a reliable way to get the damage I need into Calyrex from here. It protects. Okay. I guess I should have doubled Smeargle anyway, because I was anticipating a Follow Me. There was no downside. I'm not playing well right now. That's for sure. Yeah, I think I'm a little tilted. Good thing this is last game. And I have my 2 sleepy restricted Pokemon to close out this endgame. Alright, well, GG to this opponent and to everyone else, but I definitely have to stop it here. I am expecting a lot of fun in this series, but some legendary Pokemon are going to be kind of busts. Honestly, Latios isn't really. Latios is kind of middle of the pack. It got some decent game wins early on and was a contributor. And, I mean, I chose Latios Palkia for funny Dragon Cheer strategy, and I got funny Dragon Cheer strategy in some games, but that was never going to be consistent. Next week, another randomly selected legendary Pokemon. It might be even worse than Latios, or it might be significantly better. Only way to find out is to check back and see what happens.